Tell me about your lesson and what you want your students to learn from this lesson.
Okay, so we've been going deeper into multiplication and division, but this time, once again, we're looking at the practices, and with our new curriculum, the biggest focus is introducing that academic vocabulary and having the students using the vocabulary. So like I said, we're moving on and we're extending what they already know and practicing with different strategies to get their answers and be able to explain their answers. So for this particular lesson, I reflected on the last lesson we had, and I realized I want to get the students to do more partner talk, much more partner talk, or maybe have small group discussions to where the kids can be sharing their answers but yet still be held accountable for their piece. Grasp of what real explanation of their thinking looks like. And then from there, having them practice using different strategies as well. So my worry is, how can I get my students to actively participate and share what they think with one another so that then they can, find the answers to their problems in different ways. So still using the mathematical practices.
Awesome. I think that'll be really great and so beneficial for them to talk about it before doing the whole class response or breaking off into independent work. So that's great. I love that. Tell me about where you are right now with this chapter, because I know last time you were at the beginning of the chapter and you were just introducing it. So with this chapter, tell me, are they going to be familiar or what are your intentions going in?
Well, yes, we were looking at exponents and powers of 10 and also looking at place value. So in order to understand this area model, they need to first be able to remember the foundation, which was exponents and the power of 10.
Okay.
So that's where it's scary because it's new for them. So I want them to really have that discussion, like I said, and understand what the area model is, and it's hard for me to understand it too, so I have to play around with it and see, do I really understand what this area model is using the exponents and the powers of 10? Quotients, the vocabulary, do they know what the vocabulary is? What is a partial quotient? What's the divisor? What's the dividend? That's stuff that they're very new.
Okay.
They're new.
Right.
They're new to
so
it.
definitely think and focus a lot on the academic vocabulary,
Big
making
time.
sure that they're being exposed to it, understanding it, having time to talk about it, comprehend it. What evidence of student engagement and learning are you going to be looking for from this lesson?
I am going to have them work in groups, or in groups of 3 or partners. But my goal is to assess them, informally, and then use that as their assessment as well. I think within their discussions, I'm going to hear: are they understanding the content, or are they just doing what they know how to do as far as multiplication goes on paper? So connecting the strategies with their discussions is what I'm going to be looking for. That is my main goal for this lesson. I think I'm not worried so much about the final answer as much as the process of finding their answer and being able to work with one another, because I think that is where we need to work on for them in all subjects.
Right.
So
exactly the
so
whole
I'm
process.
hoping that for this lesson, that's going to be my main focus. Can you discuss? Can you share? Can you help each other understand what the actual problem is, because it's really complicated of a concept. So
based on our conversation, I know that you'd like me to be concentrating on the discussions, making sure that the kids are collaborating together before a whole group answer and working independently. You also mentioned the academic vocabulary just because it's so new and so much, so I'll focus on that. And working in small group and partner talk. Is there anything else that you'd like me to concentrate on for this lesson?
I'd like you to also see if there's a way that I can, besides the random calling, where I can pinpoint just things that I need to reteach.
Right.
Never know. It's always that differentiation piece. I really, really want all of the kids to understand it. So if I see one flaw, I want to be able to get that misconception right off the bat.
Okay.
But I want to work on doing it at the moment and for everybody. So that's one thing. If you notice, just say, here someone said something and it was wrong. So maybe that would have been a good moment to jump back in. A lot of times I miss things like that. So
yes, I'll definitely keep an eye out for that. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Cool.
And I will see you at our lesson.
Yeah. The way we explain our thinking, we've been looking at all kinds of spiraling with mathematics. Today I want us to work specifically on sharing what we're thinking inside. And that is meta Who remembers what that is? Metacognition, right? Well, today we're going to play with that. And we're going to explain, and we're going to really focus on explaining our answers and sharing our thoughts with our peers. Let's go ahead and read our learning target, everybody.
Mathematics.
Now, we are at the end of our unit. We've looked at exponents. What else? Expanded notation. What else?
Multiplying fractions.
Multiplying. We just started that. So we're going to look deeper into that. So in order to move on, we need to review everything we've done. I want you to look at number 5 on your paper. Let's take a look at, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 components to this one problem. And it just says solve. That's all it says. So in your groups, I would love for you to discuss first how you're going to solve this problem. Before we do that, we're going to think, okay? So I'm going to give you 1 minute to think and work out the problem in your notebook independently. After that minute, we're going to share what strategies we used. If you finish and you've done one strategy, what is it that I want you to do? I want you to think about another strategy so that you have more than one strategy in which you solve your problem. Okay? Ready? Think and write. With your group, what strategies you used. I want to hear this discussion, but I also want to see you guys taking turns and really taking in what your peers have done. If they did a strategy that you did not do, go ahead and add that to your paper. Okay? Ready? Discuss.
So first, would you like to go first? Okay.
I added the numerator and counts, and then it always has to be the same denominator.
But then you keep the same denominator, because if you add all the denominators, you will get an equivalent fraction. Like I'd get 3 21s, which would be the same as 1/7. So if you do this, if you fractions, add the denominators, you'll get it
1/3, 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7.
My question is
I used some addition, so like if I had
but let's start doing that.
Well, did you follow one of our ways, or did you use a different way?
Anyone do anything else besides addition?
7 times 3 is 7.
You did them all right, but 12 did it different way.
Times 6.
Good. Emma, did you do anything else besides addition? No. I also did multiplication. And I have a question. Could you do anything else besides addition and or multiplication? Could you do anything else?
You could do subtraction, which it would look like, so you could do 6, 7 minus 3, 7 equals 37. So you could do something like that. What else could you do?
All right, Linda, so let's talk about your math lesson that we observed. Why don't you go ahead and tell me some of the things that you think went well?
I really liked this lesson. I think the whole thing went well as far as what I wanted to accomplish and what I really wanted to see. And like I think we had discussed what I wanted to improve in, or what the things I wanted to change are the way my students were discussing with one another and sharing their answers. I think that later that's going to transfer on to the paper when they do their writing. So for the purpose of this lesson, I wanted them to practice that skill. And I made it very clear. We co-constructed the learning target to where the kids knew this is what I want to see. This is what we're going to be practicing. And it was that practice of sharing your thoughts and explaining your thinking and getting that metacognition on point. So I just really liked the discussions. Everybody was involved, like engaged and involved in the discussion. So I think that was my favorite part, is just hearing them like take it very seriously. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, they did a great job. Ever since we first spoke with our first coaching cycle, you mentioned how it's their strength to partner talk, and to see them now with math, that's something so new, and with the Common Core and the new program curriculum, just how different it is. So it was really nice to see them talking in groups and really being able to explain their thinking, and I think it helped them. You could see that transpire to when they go and were doing it for the next problem when they were doing it in their independent work. So I really just loved the flow of your lesson of how you gave them that think time. Then
The think time was the positive one. That was another thing that we were pointing out in the previous lesson, is that I would give them thinking time, but it was very sporadic throughout the lesson. With this lesson, I gave them thinking time, working time, and then group sharing time. And then we still, when we were doing the popsicle sticks, having them share, they had great ideas. And before, it was like they would share one strategy, and then the next kid would come and share that same strategy. Whereas this time, it just was very clear. We're trying to get all of the possible ways. And they were even thinking outside the box, coming up with weird visuals when I asked them to do the visuals. So when it was neat to see them come up and put their visual and how different it was. And I did get variety, which was awesome. And I think saying that too helped, because they knew I wanted to see different ways of doing the same thing.
And it was so great to see when you had them, if someone in their group had a different strategy, that they go ahead and write that strategy and kind of copy or do what that person did in their notebook, but while they're listening to the discussion. Because really you're just giving them so many tools to put in their tool belt for when they go to the test, and they're able to show those different strategies, or just learning it and applying it for your future lesson.
And that was a positive thing too. I would notice that before, when they would share, they would just listen or pretend they were listening. Whereas this time, they were being held accountable, and they had to write down all of the ways that their group, came up with. So you could see the strategies, you could see the variety of ways that they were solving the problem, and just by their notes. And so that, to me, was another
So it went really, really well, and just seeing the combination of the first cycle to this cycle, I've seen them grow, and how you've established that routine of now giving you think time, you're going to have independent time, now we're doing partner talk, and just seeing how natural and comfortable they feel.
Like, they've matured. It's weird. Like, within a week, they're like, all right, math. And so that's exactly what we wanted to see. I want them to be excited. I want them to want to share. And it's just enhancing that creativity within them. Like, can I show this another way? And I kept that vocabulary coming. I heard them talking about, they were saying the divisor, the dividend, things like that. And I was like, oh my goodness, they're really getting it. So that was really cool. I felt very vindicated when they were sharing with themselves. So that was cool.
Because the academic vocabulary was definitely one of the things that you wanted to work on. So that's awesome to hear them using it. Were there any challenges that you felt, or anywhere, you did such a great job, that anything you want to improve on for next time, or next possible steps?
Well, today was kind of like a spiral lesson. So I think for the future, I think when we look at new concepts, I want to make sure that we still are following that sequence. So just to build that routine and build that structure during math time, because I don't want it to just digress. If they're already learning to discuss with one another, I want them to continue doing that throughout. So I'm even thinking about adding like a block of time where they get to do that no matter what. Just like we did today. It was really cool to see them grow so much. Just within their discussions.
And I love the way that you incorporated the random name calling, because it just made them so much more accountable, where before, it was the ones that were always raising their hand and then they'd come up. But this time it was like everyone just seemed so much more on point, and, they might get called, so they have to be ready.
I told them you have to have an answer. But the good thing with that is they already had a variety of answers written down from their peers, shared amongst themselves, and then they collaborated to decide what example they were going to come up and show, if that was the case. So I did go, so when I did the groups, one group went, then the other, and were kind of competitive with one another, like, we got 4 strategies, or we got 5. So that was cool too. So I think that just keeping that going and not let it get lost, and we should be good.
Yeah, definitely. If you keep it going, then, you're going to have such a great year, and I'm glad that, was able to grow so much in just these couple weeks. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.